Hello everyone, and welcome back to GreatMovieFan's YouTube channel. I'm Luke, and today I am bringing you my review for Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Now, before we get started, first things first. I have copious notes prepared for this review, and I'm going to split it down the middle, once again like I did last year for my review for Star Wars The Force Awakens. So the first half of this review will be non-spoiler material. If you have not yet seen Rogue One, and I don't know why you haven't, then you can watch the first half of this review and remain completely unspoiled. However, if you have seen Rogue One or you want to know what you're getting into, then you can watch the second half of this video. There are chapter times in the video description, and I will put out a disclaimer before I start talking about spoiler material. If you want to go in with having heard nothing yet, then just watch the first half of this video. So here's what I'm going to do. Here are 3 reasons as to why you need to see Rogue One. Non-spoiler reasons as to why you need to see this movie. Number 1. It's a different kind of Star Wars movie, and I have to take my hat off to not only Lucasfilms and Kathleen Kennedy, but for Disney themselves, because Disney owns Lucasfilms, Disney has their name attached with this brand, and for them to go in such a dark, more richer, more gritty tone, rather than having the movies be about the Skywalker family and have Jedi and the Force and comic relief droids and lightsaber battles. This is a very different kind of Star Wars movie. It's, as I said, it's darker, it's more richer in its tone, and it's incredibly sad. There are moments in this movie that will make you feel like the movie has ripped your heart out and it is showing it to you in front of your face. And it doesn't feel like a cheesy prequel at all. I know that majority of people who are Star Wars fans loathe and detest the prequel trilogy. I myself personally love those movies in addition to the original trilogy and The Force Awakens. I have never seen a bad Star Wars movie ever. I just think that with the prequel trilogy, you just have to accept the fact that this is campy and ridiculous, and then you can enjoy it a lot better. But for Rogue One, it's as I said, it's different, it's richer, it's ambitious. But I also have to say one thing very abundantly clear. You need to know Star Wars before you see this movie. If you have never seen a Star Wars movie before, what rock have you been living under your whole life? And you go to see Rogue One, you're going to be completely lost. You need to at least have seen the original trilogy, at least episode 4, in order to be able to understand this movie. But that's everyone's seen Star Wars. I've never met a human who's never seen Star Wars. Number 2, the amazing star-studded cast. I'm pleased to report that Felicity Jones does not ruin this movie. I think that mainly because when the movie went back into production, they cut and edited a lot of the bad dialogue that was in the trailers that we saw for this movie. And I'm not going to lie, when I saw the first trailers for Rogue One, I was scared out of my mind that this movie was going to suck. And that would mean that people were not going to be interested in Star Wars anymore. And I was afraid of that. But Felicity Jones doesn't ruin the movie because it's not her movie entirely. This is an ensemble cast effort. And speaking of the rest of the cast, Diego Luna does an amazing job as Cassian. He's so fantastic in his part. His subtle acting moments, brilliant. Ben Mendelsohn as Krennic, who is the Imperial officer who's in the white get up and the cape, so menacing, so twisted and evil, but also so vain and so arrogant that he plays it perfectly. Donnie Yen, who plays the blind, basically a Jedi wannabe, who feels the Force and practices it. He was amazing. A lot of his jokes were based on the fact that his character was blind, but they worked so well. Riz Ahmed as the Imperial pilot that joins this group, fantastic. And the true star of this movie is Alan Tudyk as K2SO. His one-liners are so well delivered. And this character is entirely CGI'd. Like, it's not like C-3PO where there is a human inside of that costume. But this is a completely CGI'd character for K2SO. So even though Alan Tudyk is not in the costume acting on set, his voice work was perfect. Absolutely adored his performance. He was the funniest of the whole group. And finally, the third reason, this movie not just is a win for Star Wars and a win for Disney, but I think that this is one of the most well-made films I've seen in an extremely long time. I recently changed my major in college right now to film because I love movies so much that I wanted to study it permanently. So I've been going to the movies a lot more this year than I did last year. And I have to say, the artistry of this film, the visual effects are so breathtaking. The last 30 minutes of this movie, I wrote in my notes here, will blow your mind and break your heart. But no spoilers yet. The world building, absolutely fantastic. Going from planet to planet, visiting, watching everybody interact with different people and aliens, that feels like, it's funny. Star Wars is a great representation of going to different places and experiencing different cultures. Star Wars is basically a commentary on different ethnic cultures across the globe, but this is obviously across a galaxy. And sometimes I forget that us humans are only on one planet, when it sometimes feels when you go to another country, it feels like you are in another world. And Star Wars represents that so beautifully. Okay. Now we're finally getting into spoiler territory. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe button, come back when you've seen Rogue One all the way through. But if you have already seen the movie or you want to know exactly what to expect in terms of the twists and turns that happen, get ready, because right now is when I start talking about spoilers. Still here? Okay, let's get started. Number 1, everybody dies. I'm not kidding. Every single person introduced in this movie dies. And that completely shocked me when I saw this film. K2SO is the first one to go. And when he died, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, like, this is hard. This is going to be hard to watch. I'm like, please don't die, please don't die. And then he went out in a blaze of glory and was gone. And I'm like, damn it. Okay, that sucks. But then Riz Ahmed, who was the Imperial pilot who helps the rebels sneak on to the planet where the Empire keeps all of their plans, a stormtrooper throws a grenade into his ship right after he relays a message to the rebellion saying, take the shields down, we have the Death Star plans, we need to send them up. Right after he sends that message, a grenade gets thrown into his ship and he blows up. And then Donnie Yen and Chiang Win, who is his best friend in the movie, both of them died together, which was heartbreaking. Obviously, Mads Mikkelsen's character, who I didn't talk about because his character was so small in the movie. He plays Jin's father. He's actually, forgive me, he's the first one to die in the middle of the second act. I'm talking about all the deaths of the main characters that you'll see on the poster in the third act. Ben Mendelsohn, he gets shot by Diego Luna, and he's left on top of the satellite tower, and then Jin and Cassian go down to the beach. And what happens is that the rebels get the plans, they start to fly away into hyperspace, and then the Death Star appears and just blows up the whole planet. And unlike how they do it in the original movie from the 70s, in episode 4, it's not like they just shoot a laser and boom, the whole planet explodes. It sets off a chain reaction like an atomic bomb and destroys the whole planet. And so Jin and Casein literally, they hug on the beach and they go out in a blaze of glory. Like the whole, like the I don't know what it is, but the after effect of the bomb going off just engulfs them and the whole screen goes yellow with light. And that, as I said, it breaks your heart that all of these characters that you grew to love in the course of this movie, no one makes it out alive. Which leads me to point number 2, the callbacks to the original franchise. So, I'm pleased to report that Darth Vader does appear in this movie and does a stupendous job. James Earl Jones is back in black, quite literally, for the character. But Darth Vader has never been more menacing than he has in this movie. At the very end of the film, after everybody dies, the Empire, the Darth Vader gets on a ship and he's chasing after this rebel ship that's a big rebel ship where they copy the plans onto a disc and they're trying to get off into the smaller ship that's at the very beginning of episode 4 that Princess Leia, R2-D2, and C-3PO are on. And they copy the plans, one of the doors gets stuck, and then Darth Vader comes on board the ship, starts killing all of these rebels with his lightsaber. They get the plans, they detach themselves, they go off into space, and sure enough, I'm not joking, there is a woman that is a physical stand-in for Princess Leia, but they CGI'd Carrie Fisher's face onto this woman's body. And she takes the plans and she's like, this is hope for the rebellion. And they go off into Lightspeed and the movie's over. And it was incredible. Darth Vader, as I said, was great. Princess Leia, CGI. They got Grand Moff Tarkin, which is Peter Cushing from episode 4. He's unfortunately passed away, but thanks to CGI and auto-tune, they're able to bring his character back to life, which was pretty freaking impressive. Oh, and also, C-3PO and R2-D2 are also in this movie. So finally, where do we go forward from this? Because clearly, there can't be any more movies with these characters in them because everybody's dead. So I think it's kind of weird that they made this movie. I mean, when you hear it on paper, it's a movie about stealing the Death Star plans, and you're like, okay, I'll go see it because it's a Star Wars movie. And sure enough, you go and it's amazing. But then everybody's dead. And episode 8, which is a continuation of The Force Awakens, so we're going to go from a prequel before episode 4, jumping all the way to the end of episode 7, going into episode 8, and then in 2018, we're getting a Han Solo Origins movie, where we're going back in time once again before episode 4. And then in 2019, we're jumping forward again with episode 9, and then there's an untitled new project for 2020. I just want to say this to Kathleen Kennedy. Be careful going forward, because you don't want to burn out your audience. The Force Awakens is the third highest grossing movie of all time, and I think it's mainly because it was a return to the main Star Wars trilogy and brand. It was an episode movie instead of a spin-off movie. That's why The Force Awakens was so popular. I don't think that Rogue One could get to where The Force Awakens is. This is not a $2 billion movie. I think it might actually cap off at, I would say, maybe 800 or 900. If it gets to 1 billion, I will be so impressed. But I have to say, Disney has given Lucasfilms the money to be able to do this project and do it extremely well. This is a well-made movie. This is a beautiful movie. It's a sad movie. It's an epic movie. Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, gets a solid A from me. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you are not already subscribed to this channel. Please follow me on social media. All the links are in the video description. Support my other YouTube channel, Great Broadway Fan. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.